So I want to talk about in my lecture today the name, that there is a pretty wide debate going on right now among a lot of the Israelite community about the name of our Savior, our Father in Heaven, the Most High, and a lot of the Israelite camps, there seems to be a lot of confusion going on, and I gotta try to clarify this, and I'm hoping that the folks that are tuning in, our brothers and sisters, please get this message out and circulate it, and please, our people got to do the research. So before I go into it, I'm gonna keep this video to the point, short and sweet, because it really doesn't have to get any heavier than what I'm going to show you, okay? But show you the proof of how the deception is really, it just runs really deep. So a couple of things. Our people, one of my biggest frustrations with our Israelite brothers and sisters, and our people in general, is we have a tendency to not understand logic and common sense. I'm just going to break it down and try to keep it as simple as possible. When our ancestors were dragged over here in chains and brought over here against, our will to pretty much grow their crops, because they knew we had some skills, in the field. Obviously, we were a very wealthy people. We had our own, vineyards. And we were able to grow things because our land was rich and fertile. Our land that is in the so-called Middle East today, known as, Israel and some of our other territories. But, when they brought us over here, do you really think they were going to say, hey, serve your Father in heaven, the Most High? You can call on Him anytime and follow His way. Because no way were they going to do that, because what would happen? They know our history, right? They got a hold of our scrolls, our writings, our ancient writings, that as soon as our people, they know the history of the Israelites, that we call on our Father in heaven, our cry goes out, goes up to the Most High, He's going to crush our enemies. They know the history. So do you really think that they were going to give us the name of our Father, our Creator in heaven, okay, who, by the way, chose us among all the inhabitants on this planet? Yes, He chose the children of Israel. And by the way, this is in the scriptures, brothers and sisters, the original testament. I ain't talking about their false testament they call the New Testament. I'm talking about the writings of our people that we were still teaching up until the 1st century, okay? Remember, in the 1st century, the time they say where their so-called Jesus was walking around, there's this fictitious character they made up. Even in the 1st century, when our people were around and the Romans were occupying our land in Judea, okay, we were still, teaching from the original writings, the instructions that were given to us in the original testament, okay? Remember that. There was no New Testament. That didn't come until the 4th century. So this is some very important logic to understand. So all of a sudden, do you really think they're going to give us the name? They're going to tell us the name, especially when the Mizrahites, that's right, I don't call them Mezerites, I call them Mizrahites, because this is what these miserable people did. They got a hold of our scrolls when they occupied and invaded our lands and our territories. They found the ancient writings of our people, the instructions our Father gave us, okay, they called the book of the law, and they made a lot of changes, and they knew we didn't have any access to those writings, and we didn't have access to our language. They could change our language to anything they want, as well as the letters of our people, the writings. So that's what they did, and they removed, okay, they took painstaking measures to remove the name of our Father in heaven. They removed it from all the writings, the ancient writings of our people, the scrolls. They removed it. Okay, so if they removed it, and here's the narrative they use, because the name was so sacred. Well, it was sacred to us, of course. It wasn't sacred to these people who are the children of the serpent seed, right? So I'm just, I'm putting out facts here. That do you really think, in a nutshell, do you really think that they're going to all of a sudden now tell you what the name is? You know, this 4-letter, what they call tetragrammaton, you know, what that name is, and all of a sudden our people are somehow coming up with all these different names, Yahusha, Yahushai, and I mean, it is just, I mean, it just totally perplexes me that, and then we have the camps that have the abbreviated form, you know, YAH, that they're saying that name, that they think, oh yeah, but listen, I explained this in a previous, one of my previous lectures. I talked about this, and I said, wait a minute, there's too many names like this. Even the short form that they use, that they just think because of Psalm 68, which I'm going to cover here, 68:4, they think that that short form somehow, because the Rastafarians, who are also following another false religion, okay, because they use the J name, that they just thought, oh, okay, it's the J with the Y. Well, that makes sense. Well, no, it doesn't make sense. Why? Because all of these names were derived from that 4-letter tetragrammaton. And that tetragrammaton was given to us by whom? Our enemies, brothers and sisters. So do you really think your enemies, if they take all these miseries, took the painstaking measures to remove the name, all of a sudden it's just going to appear and they're going to put it in the KJV version? No, they're going to put something else in there. They're going to put the name that they want, okay, of who they really serve. So I'm going to help you understand that the name that they say with the YAH, JAH, it is not the name of our Father in heaven. Okay, and another thing you got to think about, they also use that name. The people, those people that are occupying our lands and pretending to be us, they have that YAHU name at the end of a lot of their names. You know, so you got to ask yourself, if these people, you know that they are not of our people, right? Do you really think they're going to use the sacred name in their name? Especially if they're serving somebody else. You know what that star they call the Star of David, which is not the Star of David, by the way. It's a pentagram, okay? And any of these Israelite camps running around wearing a pentagram or using it as their symbol, right now they are transgressing, okay? They're transgressing the law, okay? And you need to bring it to their attention to get rid of this pentagram that they wear on their foreheads, calling it the Star of David. You know, a lot of our people, again, just don't have common sense. And what I want to just get down to before I go into this lesson, in just one quick second, is the fact that if we don't learn from our history, and that's why I stress, and I call my channel 101, because my channel is all about the history, teaching our people the history. And if we don't learn from our history, what is it that they say? You are bound to make the same mistakes over and over and over again. And this is what our people are doing. We're doing the same things our ancestors were doing more than 3,000 years ago. What were they doing that got them in trouble with our Father in heaven? They were following the ways of the heathen, the nations around them, which was, you know, one of the first things that our Father, in terms of the instructions he gave us, he warned us not to do. Do not follow the ways of the nations around you, these heathen nations. And our people are still doing the same thing. Even the Israelite community, some of these camps and all these other Israelites that have come into understanding, they are still following the ways of the heathens and transgressing, okay, and have not returned to the covenant, even though they think they have. And how do you know this? Well, first of all, because if you are running around and following the name, using the same name that they're giving you, this Yahweh name and all these other names, then obviously what are you doing? You observing anything that these heathens have told you and taught you, especially about Jesus? You have to. You guys are under some deep mind. Some of our brothers and sisters, some very heavy mind control. You've got to break the cycle. Don't do what they tell you to do. Don't use the names that they give you. Don't use this Christ name, because that name originates from Mithras, you know, and Christos. You know, Christos, you can go look it up. These are all Greek names, and it comes from Mithras. Okay, this pagan religion, same one world religion that they're following today, that they were following then, they were following back in Babylon, Assyria, you know, all these, you know, pagan cultures. the one world religion is already here. It's been here for thousands, more than 3,000 years. They are still following the same ways. It was just, you know, Lucifer has aliases. He has a lot of different aliases. And if you do the history and study the history, you'll understand that all this mystery Babylon religions, it's all part of the one world religion. So, all this propaganda they're talking about, the one world religion has been here for a long time. It's all in all these various forms of different religions: Christianity, Islam, Hinduism. They're all the same one world religion that is following and serving what? Lucifer. Okay? So what I'm trying to help you understand is a lot of these Israelite folks that claim that they know the name that starts with a Y, and they claim that they think that that is our Father in Heaven's name. All you're doing is what? You're following the ways of the heathens around you, because they gave you that name. So if they gave you that name, you cannot trust it, brothers and sisters. Let me prove it to you right now why I'm telling you that is not the name. Okay? And stop using it. Let me show you something. So we're going to go right to let's hit it. Let me take you here. I got to show you this. Okay, so let me take you to, here we go, the King James. So if we go into the King James 1611 version, okay, that's where I'm at. Okay, this is the version that some of these Israelite community, some of these guys in the Israelite camp say that, oh yeah, people should be going by the King James version. Well, this is why you don't want to be going by the King James version. By the way, it doesn't matter what version you're reading. It's still a version by your enemies, a translation by your enemies. Let me show you something. Remember the lesson I did, on the KJV? Well, check that out again, okay? Because it's all free. The people that have written the KJV 1611, even today, are a bunch of Freemasons and Jesuits, okay? Luciferians. So let me help you understand what I'm talking about. So a lot of them are getting the name that they're using, okay, in these Israelite communities, Israelite camps, the Y name, okay, YH, you're getting it from what the Rastafarians use. They use J instead, but they're getting it all from Psalms chapter 68. So if we go to Psalm 68, and this is going from the 1611 KJV, you have to go into the original version, the 1611 version of KJV. It's right here. Okay, so I'm going to show you right here. It's Psalm 68 verse 4. I'm not going to show, because see here it's going to be hard to read. Okay, so let's show you the actual version and show you the version of the translation in English. So not the old English. So Psalm 68 verse 4, this is where they get this notion from. It says, verse 4, this Psalm 68, sing unto the Most High, sing praises to his name, extol him that rideth upon the heavens by his name. Now the name in the modern version of the KJV is JAH. That's where they got it from, and then they just took the J and now they use the Y, and this is where the Israelite camps, they say Yah, right? But it says here, by his name, Ayah. It's spelled not with a J, because remember 1611 there was no J at that time. It was J came a little bit later, so they used I, okay, in place of the J in the 1611 version. So by his name IAH, and rejoice before him. Okay, so by his name Ayah, IAH. Now this is curious. Let's find out what that name really means. So I tried to look that name up, Ayah. Now this is in the original version, the authorized 1611, okay, before they changed the I to the J. Okay, to the Jah, right? And then eventually now you have the Israelite people saying Yah. But the original version, it said Ayah, I-A-H, okay? So I tried to Google that. So if you Google Ayah, I-A-H, what's interesting is you will not find it in Google. It's been removed from Google, the meaning, and with the in the encyclopedia they have online. However, I had to go and look it up through Yahoo's search engine, and in Yahoo's search engine, there it is. Okay, so you can look it up and find it in the Wikipedia, which is the online encyclopedia. So yes, Aya is a word, folks, and here's what it means. Aya, I-A-H, Egyptian, transliterated as Yah with a Y, Jah with a J, okay, and they also spell Jah with a W, and these other, transliterations of it, is a lunar deity in ancient Egyptian religion. Did you hear that, brothers and sisters? Did you hear that, folks? His name simply means moon by the new kingdom. He was less prominent than other gods with lunar connections. Tot, okay, and Khonsu. Remember the book? I don't know if you guys know anything about, a little bit about Egyptology, but there is a book called the Book of Tot. Some people say Thoth, but in Hebrew, TH is Tot. So the Book of Tot and Khonsu. As a result of the functional connection between them, he could be identified with either of those deities. Alright, so did you hear that? This is an Egyptian god, a moon god. Okay? But look how it was transliterated. It's the same word, Yah and Jah. Okay? Now that's interesting. Now here it gets even more interesting. It says, okay, we're going to keep going here. He was sometimes considered an adult form of Khonsu and was increasingly absorbed by him. Aya continued to appear in amulets and occasional other representations similar to Khonsu in appearance. Okay, these are other lunar gods. Okay, with the same lunar symbols on his head and occasionally with same tight garments. And then it says something here. It says, as time went on, Aya also became Aya Junti, meaning God of the new moon. So you remember when I did the 1611 version, did you see some of the I showed you the Freemasonry like symbols in the 1611, and you saw those illustrations? There's a sun on like the cover, like one of the first pages. Then you open it. There's a sun. They did an illustration of a sun on the left and the moon on the right. So it just helps you understand this is all part of this, this whole, mystery Babylon religion that they have been following for a very long time. Okay, so Aya was also assimilated with Osiris. Okay, because this is all these various cultures were still worshiping the same people. Okay, doesn't matter whether it was Babylonian, Egyptian. You remember, Horus and Osiris eventually became in the Sumerian religion. It became Semiramis and Nimrod and so on. So anyway, but it says Aya was also assimilated with Osiris, god of the dead. Okay, look at this. Aya was also assimilated with Osiris, god of the dead, perhaps because in its monthly cycle the moon appears to renew itself. Aya also seems to have assumed the lunar aspect of Tot, god of knowledge, writing, and calculation. The segments of the moon were used as fractional symbols in writing. Oh, look at this. See also Ra, Jah, Yahweh. Okay, because what are they telling you? It's the same thing. Now, if you still don't think this is true, now here's something really funny. When I looked up this word Aya, I-A-H, guess what airport is named, has the same name? Oh, lo and behold, check this out. The George Bush International Airport in Houston is named Aya, I-A-H. You think that's a coincidence? Wasn't that the guy who talked about the New World Order? Yeah. So they're all part of all this stuff. Okay. So, but that's it in a nutshell. Now, here's what's interesting too. I want to show you something that I think that you will find very, very interesting. Let's go to, see if I can find it here. And I'm going to show you something really quick. So if we go to the two-letter lookup, it's going to give, yeah, here we go. So if we go to the two-letter lookup, and if you look up that word, okay, I'm going to do it. I'm going to spell it in Hebrew, J, okay, and H, okay, because remember, no vowel points. Alright, so, and as you can see, they give you a lot here, don't they? They give you all the words with the JH. So here's the word here again. Okay. Now, here's what's interesting. I'm going to show you why it is the same word. It says, okay, Jah, it's the proper name of the one true. This is what they say. Now this is what, remember, this is they have created this lexicon, right? You know, the Mizrahites. And then it says, because it's the same contraction for that word. And then it also says names beginning with the letters JE, and it's a short form. Okay, it tells you it is the short form of the of Yahweh, right? But also it says names ending with IAH or Jah. Okay, do you understand? Compare names in IAH, Jah. Names ending with IAH. Same name, people. Okay, it is the same name is what I'm trying to help you understand. See? They spell it with a Y, they spell it with the H. It's the same name, the IAH. So over time, when the J word came into, the J letter came into existence, you know, by the late 1500s, the I became the J. And that's how you ended up in the more, you know, modern translations of the KJV, the J word, the JAH, as opposed to the IAH. But that's where it derives from, an Egyptian moon god. Okay, so, and again, if you understand, was also, it's the same name assimilated with Osiris. Okay, because remember, he has a lot of aliases, you know, Lucifer. So Osiris. Okay, so, and if you know the story about Osiris, here's what gets interesting. Horus was resurrected. He had 12 disciples, and Horus was resurrected as Osiris, wasn't he? Does that sound very familiar, like Jesus? Okay, so again, these are things that are very hard for Christians to understand, because they are under, you know, a lot of our people are still following the ways of the heathen. So anything that they have taught you, unteach yourself. You have got to undo the miseducation that you, and begin to re-educate yourself. And that's really the point of this lecture today. So anything that they have told you, you know, in Christianity, you must undo the understanding of this and clear your head and understand that what they have taught you are lies. Okay, it's riddled in lies, and we're going to keep this going, because I got some other stuff, you know, probably next week I want to talk about. This also going to be very revealing. I'll just leave it at that. But listen, thank you, brothers and sisters, for tuning in as always. And you know, again, may the Most High bless.